Hi guys, it's me, Tiffany. So I want to tell you something that I do to help keep my garden growing well. I look after the soil. So it is around 7:30 a.m. I've been up since 6:30, and you can see in the back of my car, I've been riding along the streets of my city and collecting grass clippings and leaf clippings. So if you can figure out when garbage pickup is, here in my city, on garbage pickup, we have regular garbage, we have recycle, and then we also have yard waste. So people will put their yard waste out on the curb for garbage pickup. And so what I do is I go around and I collect the yard waste and I put it in my compost bins. And those black barrels back there, those are my compost bins. Okay guys, so I just got my bags unloaded and put into the compost bin. You can see compost here and then over there. And I know these bins look like they are almost full, but the thing about compost is like it almost boils down to nothing. So I'll be lucky to have a fourth of this remaining once the composition process is over. Something that you'll want to remember if you decide to go pick up yard waste is I use my car because I don't have access to a truck. So decide to use your car, you need to make sure you cover your interior really well. I had 2 tarps in the back of my car. This yard waste, a lot of times it might be like leaking water or dew or whatever, and that can stain and make your car stink. By the way, so you'll know, depending on how decomposed the yard waste is, decomposing yard waste can stink. Another warning is that all compost is not equal. So you want to get compost that is free of sticks, ivy, Virginia creeper, what else? Just things that are going to end up being invasive, and the sticks just makes it hard to compost. So be very selective. So another thing that I have found is some people take just trash and throw it in there with their yard waste, like even like cigarette butts, old toys, glass. Leave that on the side of the road. You don't need that. I do not subscribe to anyone composting theory. Yes, it would be better if I turned this and watered it and alternated leaves and grass and leaves and grass. When I can, I do that type of thing. But guys, sometimes we make things too complicated and it almost makes us not want to do it. So now I have no rules. I just get yard waste and I pile it up and it decomposes the best way it knows how. And next year I put it on my garden. So here's what my garden looks like. You can see at the front I planted a bunch of flowers. I'm on a very busy road. I'm sure that you have heard the cars passing by. And these are for me, for the pollinators, and really also for the passersby. I've had people compliment the flowers. So it's really great if not only I can enjoy my garden, but other folks can enjoy my garden as well. So on this row right here, we have green beans. Very beautiful, but if you look, there are no beans yet. I did notice that they are starting to flower. If I can find a flower, I will show you. Okay, I'm not seeing a flower, but believe me, they have just started to flower. And then I tucked some things along the green beans. So I'll show you that in a second. But down here is a zucchini, a big, beautiful zucchini that has no zucchini on it. But it's big and beautiful. And then behind that, I have corn. So I told you I tucked some things with the beans. Right here, you can see cantaloupe. It's in there, starting with the beans. And then something else that I tucked in here was, and it took a long time to get going, This right here is a cucumber. It's still small. It's a beautiful plant. It's just not really growing that fast. And then I also tucked a watermelon down here. Okay, let's look at the next row. Here's my next row, starting off with flowers, of course. And then you can see these tall things right here. These are okra. And below the okra is sweet potatoes. Like this stuff right here is sweet potatoes. And what I did this last year for the first time, and what I found out is that once that okra starts getting taller and I end up cutting off the bottom leaves, the sun can get down to the sweet potatoes. So I know it's kind of shaded right now, and that's okay. But as that okra gets taller and I cut more and more leaves, the sun's going to get down there. Now, at the base of the okra and sweet potatoes, we have, this is a volunteer cantaloupe. So you can see right here a melon, and then if we look back here, you can see a melon. So this volunteer is very happy where it is, and you can tell, like, this right here is a walkway, but it's covered up between cantaloupe, and then back there the sweet potato vines growing out of control. Also down here trying to do its best is watermelon. So there's some right here, and there's a little right here. Between all that I've got going on, that watermelon is a little sluggish, but if I keep it fertilized, it'll keep growing. It'll get there. All right, next row. Oh, before we move on, I want you to look at this beautiful plant right here. I think it's called a gladiolus, I think. And I got this bulb at Dollar General for $1. And it makes an absolutely beautiful flower. All right, moving on. So this row right here is a row that I am decommissioning for the time being. And the reason why is because about the first or second week of August, it'll be time for me to start planting fall crops. Basically brassicas, cabbage, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, cauliflower, collards, things like that. And as you can see, there is nowhere to put it. And so what I'm doing, even though this row right here looks really raggedy, I am making space for my next crop. So there is a large tract right here that's empty. This right here, these are volunteer watermelons. I'm gonna have to discourage them from going over here because I'm gonna need this I'm gonna need this bed, but I'll come back and work on that. You can see my volunteer watermelon is already forming some little melons. Right here, I call myself succession planting squash. So this will get bigger and start producing, but the plants that I already have, and I'll show you them in a second, they have been producing like gangbusters. This corn right here is just more of a cover crop, and the reason why, there was corn here in the front, okay, and this corn in the front shaded that, so you can see how thin and spindly these stalks are. I'm leaving them here to feed the soil biology until I can take this up and plant my brassicas. My real corn is back there. So ignore this pitiful excuse for corn. So right now, this was my tomato planting. You can see that they're not doing great now. Look at just the disease on the plants. So what's going to happen with these tomatoes, they still have a few tomatoes on them, I'm going to leave them here for another, say, 3 weeks, and I will yank these out too, and I'll put my brassicas there. So that reminds me, there are some things I did not show you. I did succession plant tomatoes right here in this row with okra and sweet potatoes. I did stick a tomato in here because I found this growing in the compost heap. And here's back here where the corn is, but that's not what I want to show you. Some other things back here that I forgot to show you are, I have celery here, and then I have pepper plants. There's one here, here, and there's a poor little one right there. But they do have, or they are starting to get peppers in there. I want to go show you the other tomato plants that I succession sowed. So these two tomato plants are between my squash, and we'll talk about that in a second, and my okra, and they're down here. I'm struggling to get light to them, to be honest, but they're hanging on. So the plan is we have plenty of warm weather left, and hopefully these will start producing tomatoes maybe by the end of August. So although these have pretty well done what they're going to do, I should have a second crop of tomatoes coming along. Here are some of the tomatoes that I harvested. You can tell I'll be canning tomatoes this weekend. And this is my last row, and you can see again flowers. And then behind the flowers this is okra, and the okra on this row, even though it's shorter than the okra over here, this okra is just starting to produce fruit. Like I noticed this morning, I saw a little fruit somewhere. Right there is a little okra fruit, and you can see behind it, that should be producing fruit anytime now. Also over here, I succession sowed squash, yellow squash. So you can see that there is a yellow squash down here that's about ready to be picked. So I'm going to go to the end of the row back there. That's my first planting of squash, and surprisingly to me, that first planting of squash is still growing strong. Let's take a look at it. So this is one of the plants in my first planting. You can see how strong and lush it is, in that it is producing squash. And by now, generally, the plants start going backwards, but really, it's still strong and healthy. This is another plant of my first planting of squash, and it looks beautiful. You can see it's loaded with flowers and bees and squash. So, bravo. I'm going to have to look and see what type of squash this is and plant this again. Until now, I'm going to say the past 2-3 years, I've had issues with growing my squash. But this squash this year is doing fabulous. This over here looks like a jungle. It is a combination of flowers, strawberries, and blueberries. So my blueberry plants are like right here. They're tucked in there. They're hard to see. The strawberry plants are here on the bottom. They're tucked in there. They're hard to see. I'm going to have to move the strawberries. They go everywhere. You can see right now they're attempting to take over the world. So I'm going to have to pull these strawberries up and put them somewhere. Where? I don't know. Along the edge of my garden, I have my citrus plants. So you can see them kind of there along the edge. This one right here is my calamondin. This one is my Bears, B-E-A-R-R-S lemon. It's got a couple of lemons on it. Like you can see them right here. This one is my key lime plant. This big one I'm going to decommission. I don't know what it is. It's flowered for years, but it just can't seem to hold fruit. So I think I'm going to move on with life. So this is its last season with me. And then over here is one that I grew from seed. I grew the mother plant. I sold the mother plant, but I took a cutting. This is actually the cutting, and you can see that it's got fruit on it. So yes, seed grown citrus can and eventually will produce fruit. There are more fruit. I'm just not able to find them. Here's another one of its fruit. This one right here doesn't look so good. And this is a cutting that I made from the plant over here that I'm going to decommission. Honestly, I think this might be decommissioned as well. I'm not sure about this one, but I'm not really impressed with it, honestly. This one right here is I've forgotten, I think it's Silver Hill. Yeah, this is Silver Hill Satsuma. It's got fruit on it. And this one is Miyamoto, and it's got fruit on it. And then this one right here, this little old tree, that is, I think it's Okitsuwase. I've forgotten. Yeah, Okitsuwase Satsuma. And it's loaded with fruit. I actually took more than half the fruit off of this, and I may go back and take some more. I'm just concerned about how small that tree is. Like, you can see my finger and see the diameter of that tree, and it's carrying fruit. Like, you can see all that fruit down there, and then fruit here. I think it's carrying too much fruit. So anyway, and then here is a pomegranate that I had one at my old house. I gave my sister a cutting. Mine died in the move, and I went to my sister. Hers was alive, so I took a cutting from the plant I gave to her. So anyway, pomegranate. I think I'm gonna try to stick that in the ground, if not this season, next season. I think it can grow here, I think, in the ground. And then here is a new starting of dragon fruit that I made. Over here as well are dragon fruit. This one is what I would call my mystery white. This plant I'm going to decommission for several reasons. A, it just looks kind of bad. B, I need to cut down on how much dragon fruit I have. C, I figured out when I'm planting dragon fruit, like, the pot matters. If you look at that white pot, that pot does not taper at the bottom. So since it does not taper, it doesn't flip over. This pot right here, it tapers at the bottom. You would think that it's not that bad of a taper, but it's enough to cause this plant to flip over a lot. If you look closely, you see the other pots stuck around this one to keep this one from flipping over. So it's really going to be hard for me to, like, try to repot that, and I'm not going to. I'm just going to decommission it. You might be like, well, what about the fruit? I took a cutting from this, and I'll show you in a second. And I've already started a new plant, so it'll be okay. This right here is Townsend Pink, and it's doing pretty well. So this plant should have a couple more years with me before I decide to decommission it. This is another dragon fruit that I've started. So on this side, this is actually Townsend Pink. This and this and this. And then this little one right here is Shayna. And this one over here, that white one that I told you I'm going to decommission, this right here is that. It's a cutting, or was a cutting. Now it's a plant. So I want to let you know that even though my plants mostly thrive, everything's not, roses and wine. Things sometimes do die. This is one of my dragon fruit plants, and this is the one I've been saying I'm going to decommission for years. It is Physical Graffiti, and the reason why I said I was going to decommission it is because it's not self-fertile. And if this is the only one that's producing flowers, then I automatically know I'm not going to get fruit because it's not self-fertile. Well, I said I was going to decommission it, and it ended up decommissioning itself. During the winter, I put this in my garage, and it just didn't make it. So I planted 2 persimmon trees, Asian persimmon trees in my yard. Here's one of them. This is, I forgot what type of persimmon. Fuyu, I think. And it's got fruit. It's being attacked by the June bugs and what else? The Japanese beetles. But I came out here and took some of the fruit off because really, as you look, it's kind of not very leafy. And it's got fruit, but not a whole lot of leaves. And I'm looking at the lack of leaves, and I may come back out here and take some more fruit off. There's not a whole lot of fruit on the tree, but still, I want to keep it in balance because if I don't, it'll die. And I had that happen. I had a mulberry tree. That mulberry tree grew loads and loads, and I mean loads of mulberries. Then it just kicked the bucket. So, I don't know. I might come back out here and take some of this fruit off that tree. And then over here, have another Asian persimmon. This is different. This is, I'll have to write in what it is. Oh, this is a chocolate persimmon tree. And this one flowered out, and then it just dropped everything, and it just looked not so great. And I tried the doctor on it and stuff, and now it looks better, but I'm noticing it's doing this, which it is way out of time for it to do this. It is July the 18th, I think. And I mean, if this were March, that would be okay. But it's not. I'm gonna leave it and see what it does, but I can't imagine that it could bring those fruits to fruition. I can't imagine that. But I'm just shocked to see it trying to bud out this late in the season. I've talked to you before about my vanilla vine. This is my vanilla vine. She's still growing. You can tell she's got new shoots right here. And then right here is a new shoot. And then this right here is growing pretty well. This vanilla vine does not like full sun at all. And it makes sense because in the wild, this vanilla vine would be wrapped up a tree, so it would have partial shade. So I have it on my porch. It gets morning sun and then it's full afternoon shade, and it's okay with that. You may be wondering about my pawpaw trees, and I'm sad to report that those 2 name brand pawpaw trees that I had, they died, both of them. I will try again, but obviously not this season. It's much too hot. If I'm going to try to start a pawpaw, the time to do that is late March, early April. And also my bananas died. So I want you to know that even though this is lush and green and beautiful, I mean, it's okay to have losses every now and again. You're going to have them, and that's where the learning comes in. Figure out what you did and do something different. So that's pretty well all I have for you today. I know it's been a long time since I talked to you, and I'm sorry about all the background noise. Again, my garden is right here on a heavily traveled street. So that's about all I have. I'll keep you updated. I thank you guys for hanging in there with me, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.